Welcome to the third and final episode, outlining the Fort Madison School District Ad Hoc Committee Community Engagement Master Planning process. If you've not watched episodes 1 or 2, we ask that you pause this episode and go watch those episodes first. The first episode gives you some great information for the current conditions of the Fort Madison Community School District and why we're doing this study. The second outlines a vision for the future, imagining what is possible. As introduced in episode 1, this master planning process is broken into 3 distinct sections. This third section, How Do We Get There, reviews how we have developed, evaluated, and chosen our solution that supports our strategic objectives and vision for the district's future educational environments. We will introduce a master planning software used to assist in refining the solutions to find not just the most financially viable option, but also the one with the greatest positive impact on students. We will review how we narrowed our solutions to the current solution, and we will then review the current scenario, including scope of work, costs, recommendations of its phased implementation, and a timeline for when the work could be completed. When developing, refining, and ultimately choosing a master plan solution, the hardest part of that is how to choose the best plan. Is it the best plan the one that costs the least? Is it the one that affects the most students? Or is it one that does something else? It's really hard to tell. That is why we utilize QLEO, Quantified Learning Environment Outcomes. This is a master plan modeling and analysis tool that allows planners and the district to not only find a cost-effective solution, but one that enhances student learning environments the most. The software works like this. Each solution has remodel, additions, repurposing, or retiring becoming an option for that facility. These various options are then combined to create a complete scenario for the district. Each scenario has 2 key components. The first are the life cycle costs. These include first costs related to the work, and also energy costs, operations, maintenance costs, as well as renewal costs that would occur over the next 30 years. The second component is the educational adequacy. As outlined in video 1, the educational adequacy shows how well a building functions as a school. This score used here reflects a regrading that takes into consideration the work being proposed and how it improves the functionality of that facility. These 2 factors together allow us to calculate a cost-benefit ratio. This is what scenarios score, acting as a comparative versus other scenarios. With this information calculated, we have 3 pieces of comparative information: life cycle costs, the educational adequacy of the scenario, and this cost-benefit ratio. With this quantitative information via QLEO, we have objective information that, when considered alongside the more subjective district and community goals, allows decision makers to make the most fully informed decision. Throughout this process, we reviewed 11 different scenarios. Removing those deemed infeasible left 6 scenarios that were evaluated via QLEO. Upon review and discussion, this list was reduced to 2 by the ad hoc committee. After focusing on those 2, the group found their preferred solution. While we will not be reviewing them all in detail, these are 6 scenarios that were evaluated using QLEO Master Planning Tool. Scenario 0, also referred to as physical needs only, corrected all physical needs work as identified during planning. Scenario 1 took it one step further, performing all physical needs work and also making enhancements to create future-focused environments, as outlined in video 2. In scenarios 2 through 5, we evaluated reducing the quantity of buildings in the district and relocating grade levels. Scenario 2 is a 2-building scenario where pre-K through 6 are housed at the existing middle school, and 7 through 12 are located at the existing high school site. Both elementary schools were retired in that scenario. Scenarios 3, 4, and 5 are each 3-building scenarios. Scenario 3, creating a primary program, pre-K through 1 at either Richardson or Lincoln, a 2 through 6 facility at the existing middle school, and 7 through 12 at the existing high school. Scenario 4 accomplishes the 3-building configuration by housing pre-K alone at either Richardson or Lincoln. In this scenario, K-6 were housed at the existing high school site, with the existing middle school being transformed to support the 7 through 12 programs. Lastly, scenario 5. This scenario is what has been explored in the past, a new pre-K through 3 at the middle school site, with the other buildings remaining the same as they were currently, 4 through 8 at the middle school and 9 through 12 at the high school. Shown here is the QLEO analysis for the top 6 scenarios that have been studied. Status quo, which only involved completing urgent physical needs, was included to ensure a baseline or do-nothing scenario was able to be referenced. Looking at the QLEO results, the two-building solution, scenario 2, performs the best among the solutions studied. Besides the status quo or scenario 0, this scenario carries the lowest first cost of the various options. This, combined with having one of the total lowest square footages, and therefore lowest operating costs, as well as the highest educational adequacy, allows the scenario to score approximately 11% higher than the next best scoring solution, which was solution 4B. These results are due in part to taking the worst two educational adequacy scoring buildings and those with the highest physical needs in Richardson and Lincoln offline. The scenario ends up with a 94.5 overall educational adequacy with a total master plan cost of $51,448,000. While scenario 2 scored the highest, the defining reason for the ad hoc committee's selection was to get out of the elementary schools and move to a two-building solution. Now that we've seen how it was developed, let's review scenario 2. The first key feature to review is the retirement of Lincoln and Richardson elementary schools. It's a key component to the goals of the district for teacher and student educational programs. Also, the ad hoc committee found this to be a priority to eliminate the burden of the district's worst two buildings. The retirement of the two elementary schools means all proposed work happens at Fort Madison High School and Fort Madison Middle School. Phase 1 work at both buildings focuses on the ability to support the additional students necessary for the elementary school retirement. Fort Madison High School will now house grades 7 through 12. The existing educational adequacy of 75.1 is improved drastically to 93.1 after phase 1 and 95.0 once the full master plan is implemented. Looking first at the site, phase 1 work includes a complete reconfiguration of the site traffic. A new car drop-off and parking lot are added in the south lawn to receive and queue traffic from the west. A new bus lane at the new main entry utilizes 20th Street, and a dedicated drive for high school students to access the east parking lot via Pat's Alley. These enhancements not only will alleviate the current issues of traffic congestion, but will also support the added population of faculty and community traffic to this facility. At the building, a new secured entry and administrative area enhances security and better aligns with the new site configuration. In order to separate from high school students, a 7th and 8th grade education wing is added to the south side of the existing building. A 7th and 8th grade gym with locker rooms is added on the east side of the building to be adjacent to other gym multipurpose spaces. The existing administrative areas are vacated due to the secured entry and can be remodeled to provide special education and student common areas. Lastly, in phase 1, includes expansion of the existing dining commons with updates to kitchen and serving services. Phase 2 will include the remainder of physical needs work as identified in the needs assessment. Also, a full remodel of the band, choir, and fine arts area will allow for enhancements to those programs for both high school students and the 7th and 8th grade students. Phase 2 additions would include an auditorium and event lobby. Lastly, by connecting the current disconnected buildings with a hands-on maker commons allows for expansion of the industrial arts program. These refinements will result in a new Fort Madison Junior Senior High building as a state-of-the-art learning facility. At the middle school site, the type of work is much different due to the relatively new facility. Fort Madison Middle School will now house grades pre-kindergarten through 6th grade. While currently having a respectable 85.9 educational adequacy score, these enhancements result in a score of 94.0. All work at this site is to occur in phase 1, allowing student relocation to occur immediately. Looking first at the site, a one-way road from the current south parking lot around to the existing bus lane. This road allows for more fluid flow of car drop and pickup traffic and should alleviate congestion while supporting the slightly increased student population on site. The work at this site comprises 3 areas of addition. The first is the addition of a pre-K1 primary wing. This allows for properly sized and organized spaces for these very special learners who need space to spread out and explore. Expansion to the existing commons allows for support of necessary lunch periods to allow the additional students to eat lunch at a reasonable time. Lastly, additional multi-purpose and collaboration space allows for more future-focused, active space for the age of students to be housed at this site. The costs of this scenario have been developed by the district's design team, SS Construction, and BLED Architects. These costs include construction costs, fixtures, furniture, and equipment, and all technology needed for the building. Also included are soft costs, such as permitting, soil studies, and professional service fees. These costs also carry contingencies, which allow for flexibility of taking this conceptual master plan and converting it into a real building design in the next phase. The total cost of the master plan is $51,448,000, with Phase 1 attributing for just under $25 million of that cost. As presented here, Phase 1 implementation could be completed without any additional tax burden to the local taxpayers. At the high school, additions attribute for approximately $11.5 million of the $14.7 million of Phase 1 work. Renovations are almost $2 million, and approximately $1.3 million in site work for enhancements for site traffic. At the middle school, additions contribute for $10.1 million of the $10.3 million. The remaining $168,000 is for site work to enhance site traffic. Phase 2 work only includes work at the high school, totaling $26.4 million. Approximately $11.2 million of this is to complete physical needs on the existing square footage. $11.5 million provides for additions of the auditorium and hands-on learning maker commons, leaving approximately $3.7 million for other major remodel scopes such as band, choir, and fine arts. Looking forward to the next steps following the community engagement panels, the ad hoc group intends to present a recommendation to the Board of Education on February 15th. If the board makes a vote to proceed at the following meeting on March 15th, then design work could begin shortly thereafter. This would include interviews and programming with teachers and students. Bidding of the project would occur late 2021 or early 2022. This then allows for construction to occur starting in spring of 2022, with occupancy of the 2 remodeled facilities and retirement of the 2 elementary schools in the fall of 2023. We hope you found this video informative. We invite you to participate in one or more of the upcoming community engagement panel sessions. Our goal is to make sure the community is clear on the plan, the methodology of its creation, and if there are any considerations that should be made to modify it to support community needs that might not yet be fully defined. If you follow the link shown here, you can also submit questions for response and find other information such as frequently asked questions. For more information and to gain access to the upcoming community engagement panel sessions, please visit www.fmcsd.org/facility-planning.